Keeping Up with the Cardassians. I loved my time with you, but I'm wondering why you're not on the ship as I am right now. You need to be. You need to be here. Do your podcast from here. Have a great time. Come see me do Broadway stuff. See me get wasted on tequila. There's lots of fun things to do on this ship.
Hey. Welcome to Keeping Up with the Cardassians, your favorite podcast with only 20 listeners. Congratulations for joining us. This is Nick.
This is Rob.
This is Joe.
And we are great. We are really excited to have you here today because we have a special guest joining us to talk about Star Trek The Next Generation. For some reason, we brought him on season 1 of all the seasons to bring him on.
We apologize.
We apologize for that.
Thank you for addressing that. I got to tell you, I was both glad that you invited me, and also should I be offended because I'm not exactly getting best of both worlds or.
No.
We'll get you back season 4.
Yeah.
Very cool. I like it.
Yeah.
Are you saying the show gets better?
Yes.
Hey,
Good.
we could have brought him on for Code of Honor at the beginning of the
Yes,
season.
true.
Yeah, we could have brought you on for that episode. So.
Oh my God.
Yeah, but we didn't do that because we're good people, right?
Nah, you are.
So anyways, this is a podcast where we focus on pop culture news, music, TV shows, video games, comics, all that good stuff. But right now we are working our way through Star Trek The Next Generation. And the second half of the episode is where we review those episodes. And today we have 2 episodes to review with you. And those 2 episodes are, obviously we're live. And of course, Nick doesn't have them handy right in front of him because that's how Nick works. They are
Coming of Age.
Glory.
Oh,
Coming of Age.
Prepared and Heart of Glory.
Yeah,
I like to watch him suffer, so that's why I wasn't saying anything. I was enjoying this.
I usually, here's the problem. I usually have them on my laptop and I'm looking at my laptop, but now we're using our laptop to do the Zoom recording. So it throws me off. Throws me completely off.
Rob, you were enjoying watching him flounder. I did it worse by having the guest introduce the information.
Exactly.
Wow, we are a crappy podcast.
So you'll notice our new 4th host
Yeah.
is somebody who sounds professional, unlike the host of this show. We're interviewing. This is the interview process for the replacement of Nick.
Yeah,
and
it's true.
so far so great.
Good.
But that is the voice of Al Beck, who is the producer of a local and syndicated morning radio show on WRIF here in Detroit, and they're in Boston, they're in parts of Florida, I think the South Carolina, Vegas. You guys have expanded markets recently.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, we got a station in St. Cloud, Minnesota area. So
nice.
That's awesome.
Still kind of a small operation, but expanding a little bit. But
the show that he produces is Dave and Chuck the Freak, who is. I don't know the charts. I didn't look at Chartable or Radio Buzzboard or anything like that. But I want to say you guys are top 1 or 2 in the state. And I don't know where you guys rank nationally, but around here you guys are, in my opinion, top of the charts.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you. The number, I mean, not without patting ourselves on the back, the
Humble brag.
critics would agree with you. So. And I have vanity problems, so it's all right here.
There you go. I see it.
The world's cheapest green screen behind me. So
hey, look, there's nothing wrong with that.
That's how we roll too.
Yeah, we have some pretty cheap felt green screens that we've used.
We'll send you a video.
Listen, we have the world's cheapest background here.
Yeah, we do.
just someone's room.
Yeah, I don't know. With all those Star Trek toys over there, I wouldn't say it's the cheapest at this point.
Okay.
Right?
I mean,
you got DS9, you got,
that's fair.
I'm just saying.
That's fair.
We got the Horgon.
Yeah.
We're ready to rumble.
Like it.
So anyways,
so yes, we are in with a professional.
Yes.
We have somebody here who can actually run a board and run a show, Nick. So when you get your pen and paper out, take some goddamn notes.
I'm not going to do that. And you know that already.
I know that. I know.
I'm not going to do that. But Al, thanks so much for being on the show. We really
appreciate you guys having me here, especially since, a lot of your listeners may not be in the Detroit area. So, if they happen to be in one of the markets that we're on, they may know who I am, but most of your listeners probably have no freaking idea aside from your introduction. So I really appreciate you having me here.
Yeah, we're excited. I mean, we do have some good markets too. Ohio, we're big in Ohio for some reason.
Sorry.
And we bash Ohio a lot, but for some reason we're big there.
See, we're big in Ohio because they like that we bash them. They're like they're into it.
They understand.
Like do it again.
Yeah. Keep mocking us, please. I appreciate it. So Al, I just kind of want to dive into it with you because like working in radio is such a fascinating thing to me. And I think a lot of us, especially growing up, say that's something we would want to do. Like I remember listening to talk radio when I was a kid, sports radio, and being like, that's what I want to do for a living. But most of us, for some reason, go, yeah, that's not a realistic career. We drop out of it, like for some reason or another. What about you? How did that passion begin for you to get into radio?
How it began, I couldn't even tell you. It just sort of clicked one day in my head. You know, I just kind of, after I got out of high school, like I did decent. I had okay grades, but I didn't like schooling, you know, like read these chapters, take this test. That's not how I learn. I love learning new things, but I like learn through entertainment and through conversation, podcasts, you know, documentaries. I like learning that way. But I didn't want to go straight to college, so I actually took a year off and kind of figured out what I was doing. And I was actually power washing trucks. And I remember I was in a parking lot washing FedEx trucks, and it was like freezing cold, literally freezing. I had icicles hanging off of my face washing these trucks. I was listening to the radio in some headphones. I was like, man, this guy who's on the air right now, who for anyone in the Detroit area, Screaming Scott, I was listening to.
Yeah.
I'm listening to Scott, and I'm like, this guy's warm and playing music, and that's awesome. How the hell did he get that job? And then almost like it was an answer being given to me, he went into a commercial break right after I was asking that rhetorical question, and it was for a local broadcasting school, Specs Howard, which was voiced by Scott saying, hey, this is where I started. So I was like, I guess I'll give them a call. So it just sort of like clicked together and never really looked back. I mean, that was almost 20 years ago. It was 2006. So
nice. Yeah. And Specs Howard, for those of you who don't know, is a school here in the Metro Detroit area. And it's very well known for their technology education for radio and video production. And it's an incredible school. Absolutely incredible.
When I went there, it was pretty much all broadcast radio and television, but they started getting more deeper into the video editing. So you could apply that towards films if you wanted to. They became a media school rather than a broadcast school. Things like graphic design, they started tackling stuff like that. So it's just it was a media school. Well known locally.
I like that you're like, he's warm. He must be warm in his office. I want that job.
I want to like what I'm doing. That would be nice.
Think about when you literally have ice hanging off of your face at the time. Yeah, it's like
exactly.
It sounds like he has a regulated body temperature. I'd like some of that.
Yeah.
You're telling me you don't have hypothermia in the radio? Yeah.
But I did both. So
Yeah. So when you graduated from Specs Howard, you went right into an intern at the Riff, right?
Yeah. And I am one of the few people who can honestly say I have only worked in one place. And it's kind of unique, I think, for my industry to be able to say.
For sure.
A thing where they have to bounce around from market to market to market before they come back to Detroit. I only ever wanted to work at the Riff in Detroit. So far I've been able to fulfill that dream, but I was still at Specs Howard when I started as an intern. I was about 3 months into a 10-month program. I think it was 10 months. I got an internship and weaseled my way on the air almost immediately. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
I've been on the air in Detroit since I was a 19-year-old intern in some capacity or another. So and here I am 37.
That's pretty incredible. I mean, one could argue that, you reached the height of your life at 19 at that point. I mean, you could argue that, right? Because he was already on the radio.
Sure.
Yeah, you could.
I mean, I still think he has some ascending to go. I don't want to
just kidding.
I don't want to bury the guy at 19, but
have you ever been on the Riff? Shut your mouth.
That's classified.
And shut your mouth. You don't even know what you're talking about, both of you. Yeah. But what was it like your first time on the air?
It's a nightmare that still haunts me to this day. Anytime someone goes on the air for the first time, if they try and tell you they're not nervous, don't trust them.
Yeah.
First time you're going to be crapping your pants. And it was just like that. So there's a show locally that I currently host, a heavy metal program called Midnight Metal.
Yep.
Which is just for those who aren't aware, it's an hour of heavy metal. And at the time it was 3 nights a week. It was a request show. Screaming Scott, who I already mentioned, was the host. I mean, this was my inspiration to get into radio, was that man and that show.
Yeah.
And he's the one who put me on the air as an intern. And I started going in and helping him out with Midnight Metal.
Yeah.
And he said, you know what? Me and this other guy, he used to do the news for me years ago. I'd like to bring that back. Maybe you can do a news segment for me. So that'd be great. Whatever, get 60 seconds on the air, every, a couple times a week.
Yeah.
So he tells me for the first week, write up the news story, bring it to me. I'll approve it, see if you can go on the air. And so first time I write it up, I bring it in, I show it to Scott, and he goes, that looks good. Grab a microphone. Wow.
Wow, that easy. Wow.
For this. So again, this is supposed to be about a minute long, right? So he cracks the microphone, introduces me, and he's like, I want to, meet the new member of Midnight Metal, Alan Beck. And then I spit out a minute's worth of content in about 12 seconds. Just whatever.
Yeah.
Then so Scott, I get done. Scott's looking at me across the board. And he's like, all right, here's Slayer, whatever, Lamb of God on the riff. Hits the song, turns the mic off, takes his headphones off, looks at me and goes, we do news at the end. I just want you to say hi. Like, oh my God,
I ruined it.
blew it.
It's over.
Yeah, and against all better judgment, he let me on the air again the next day, and we did it the right way, and it's been ever since, been on the air at the Riff.
Yeah. So do you still, after all these years on the radio, do you still get like almost like a high going live? Or has it become like a job? And then that doesn't mean you don't enjoy it or love it, but does it just feel like a normal everyday job at this point?
It did at one point, up until joining the morning show.
Mm.
I was the midnight guy for 11 years.
Yeah.
And, you're alone in the studio. How many times can you say, here's Motley Crue? A little bit repetitive, a little bit redundant.
Yeah.
I had a second job. So, I was working, 13 hours a day, and so at that point, yeah, it was just sort of normal, but I really get a charge out of working with the Dave and Chuck the Freak show. I really do. I could not tell you enough positive things about my experience with the show, about them as people. I love going on the air and laughing with them. You know?
Yeah.
Honestly, it is a joy every single day. And I'm not just saying that. And you know what? They're such great people that my role is primarily support staff. I do a lot of editing. I keep things in order.
Yeah.
And when you work with people who are so great and go out of their way to support you, it makes it so easy to do that. And it's not every day anymore. And it's great. I've been with them for 7 years, and sometimes I walk in the morning and go, man, I'm so glad I'm not delivering dry cleaning still, or
Yeah.
pressure washing trucks.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
You do get summoned anytime Star Trek or anything nerd related gets mentioned. There's the bat signal for Al goes out.
Yeah, that or anything old school like my MASH.
Yeah.
Nice.
I saw that.
My MASH chat, if that comes up, anything, anything your grandfather loved, they pretty much turn to me.
Yeah, there you go. You're the man for the job. You're the man for the job.
So how'd you land with Dave and Chuck? Because they've been with the Riff about a little over 10 years now, right?
Yeah, so I've been
13 or 14, I think, is when they started.
I'll word it this way: they've been together as a couple.
Aww.
They've been working together for over 20 years. Those two, and some of it was across the street at a competing radio station, which is no longer here. So I don't mind saying their name, 89X.
Yep.
She gone.
Yep. It's now, I think, country, at least.
Country.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So they worked over there together for 20 years, came to the Riff about 11 years, coming up on 11 years ago this May. And when they got into syndication, branching out first into Boston and then Fort Myers and Tampa Bay, they needed another producer. And I was the midnight guy. So I was the guy on beat for them every day. So I got to know them a little bit that way, and then I would always run the board for them if they were out broadcasting live for Tigers opening day or St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah.
I was always the guy back at the studio for them, so I was already kind of the seventh member without officially being it.
Yeah.
They got when they had an opportunity to hire a producer, they just, we want him, and so I got the job.
That's amazing.
Nice.
You know, but it's been great every day.
Cool, man.
I'll focus on the music for a second.
Yeah.
Is heavy metal your jam? Or
Yeah, that would be my forte. Yeah.
All right. What's your favorite band out there?
Slayer.
All right.
Okay.
I'm more the aggressive music fan in the group. So
Okay. All right.
For sure.
come on.
Yeah.
I've seen what Dave Matthews really.
Come on, your favorite band.
Hanson.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you do love Hanson. That's true.
Taking my daughter to a Godsmack show next month.
Okay. All right.
All right, that's pretty. Yeah, the acoustic god.
Acoustic Godsmack tour.
Yeah.
I'm taking my son to a human sacrifice.
There you
How
go.
about that?
There you go. There you go. There you go. As hard as I get is what the Foo Fighters. That's not.
Yeah.
That's not heavy metal at all. That's soft rock at this point.
Yes, it is.
But that's me.
Pop rock.
Music though, man. I love Dave Grohl.
Oh
and
my gosh, that's why I really love them. I love Dave Grohl. I have an unhealthy obsession with Dave Grohl.
He's
I really am, honestly. Like I think one of my old bosses actually was like, "Listen, we know you've got a man crush on Dave Grohl. You got to like let it go."
Yeah, I can't. Yeah, I'd be like, I can't do it.
In the world, I really feel that way.
Yeah, I can't trust my hands when I'm around Dave Grohl. I can't. I just can't do it.
Did you happen to check out his newer book that he put out?
I did. The Storyteller. It's
Yeah.
absolutely incredible.
Did you go audiobook or did you read it?
I read it, and now I want to go audiobook because he reads it, right? And
Yeah.
it's got extra material as well.
Yeah, and it's like it feels like you're sitting in a room listening to Dave Grohl tell you stories. It's incredible.
It is absolutely incredible. Yeah.
I just finished listening to that a little while ago.
Yeah.
Which one?
I can't remember what it's called, but Patrick Stewart just released.
making it so.
Making it so. Yeah.
Making it so. Yeah.
Yes, and
How was that?
I thought it was great. He talks about his early childhood, getting on the stage, but he's smart enough to know why people are listening to it. So every so often in the middle of something, he'd be like, just like when I was on the Enterprise of
What?
generation, he'd like pepper in Star Trek mentions throughout the entire book. Just be like, don't worry, we'll talk about it. It's just, I was 40 before I got there. So give me some time.
He's sitting there talking about Macbeth and Shakespeare and everything, and he's just got to drop Worf in there right in the middle.
Yeah,
When
exactly.
I was on stage, Worf, and I had like, oh, I got you. I'm in.
He had a great story that he shared about working with Malcolm McDowell on stage. And was like, and I would see him again in Star Trek Generations. Yeah.
I get to kill him this time.
Hey.
So
Well,
Spoiler.
that's a
Spoiler. Oh yeah.
spoiler alert.
Just so you know, I don't know if Joe told you this in your correspondence or not, but his introduction to Star Trek was Deep Space Nine. We started this show to watch DS9, brought him on. So he has literally only watched DS9 and so far what we're up to in the Next Generation.
He's watched DS9, the 6 original series movies,
Yeah.
and the Kelvinverse movies. That's all. And then
what we've
first
done
season.
in Next Generation. So I haven't seen anything else Star Trek related.
really, so how did you like DS9 then? Like that's your introduction. I got to know how you feel about.
I loved it.
Because you're still hosting a Star Trek podcast.
No, I loved it. We did DS9 and the first episode was Duet, which is towards the end of season 1, and it was one of the best pieces of television I had ever seen. Not just Star Trek, and then so I came back the next week, and then we watched the rest of it, and it was amazing. Like now I'm comparing everything to that.
that's
my
season
reference
of Next
point.
Generation.
So now I'm like, oh, Next Generation is sometimes kind of boring because there's no ongoing storyline. Where's the ongoing storyline? Where's the character development? Where's the single character episodes? Where's this? Like Deep Space Nine to me, I think I put it on Twitter. It's like the most layered, nuanced. It's the most profound Star Trek, I think. And I haven't seen the other ones, but I can't imagine anything else is like DS9. But it gets overlooked so much.
Yeah. So now these two guys, though, you guys have been Trekkies longer, I assume. I know Trekkies.
Yeah, I don't even care.
I go
whatever.
Trekkie as well.
I go Trekkie. If people get offended by it, it's like, why? Just shut up. We love.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You guys obviously appreciate the Troubles and Tribulation episode of DS9 probably better than Joe did.
Absolutely.
Right.
That episode really mean anything to you with the crossover with the original series?
No, well, when we did that, I did watch the original series episode.
Oh, okay, all right.
Just to get the full context of it.
Okay.
But I thought that was incredibly well done. I loved it. I gave it a 9 or a 10.
Yeah, I think you give it a 10.
It was just so much fun. It was such a good piece of Star Trek. Like historically new, just meshing them together.
It was a good love letter too.
Yeah,
to the original series,
without feeling corny. Without
Jadzia crushing on Spock was great.
Yeah.
I love that Cisco's like, I just want to have Kirk sign this. Like it's like a yeoman and say this, just so I can meet Captain Kirk.
Right, exactly.
And then the guys at the end going, yeah, we probably would have done the same thing.
Yeah, we would have done. And Jadzia in that original series uniform.
Yep. Oh my God.
Anyways,
that was okay.
Yeah. Not to wires there, Nick, but I have a cat named Jadzia because I love that show so much.
Yes. Oh, so we could talk more DS9 then.
Well, you know what? TNG is my favorite.
Okay,
that's fair.
I wanted to name her after a female character, and Jadzia Dax was just like, man.
What, Tasha Yar wasn't up there for you? Come on, man.
No.
Come on.
I think his rule was they had to be on more than one season, right?
Can I tell? Well, she was just as a guest star. Like, oh, I'm sorry, I spoiled something for
Yeah,
you.
you did.
Okay.
Yeah.
But so my girlfriend had a little bit of Star Trek experience or whatever, but she really started watching with Next Gen when she was with me.
Yeah.
And she's texting me as she's going through season 1, and she's going, "Oh my God, Tasha Yar is my favorite character."
Yes.
That's Sean, our friend Sean. Is like
yeah, and enjoy it. Denise Crosby's great. So she goes away, without saying too much. She goes away, and then season 2 starts. And she's like, I'll tell you, this Dr. Pulaski is great.
Well, she's great. She's going to be around a while.
First of all, that's actually the first person I've ever heard say Pulaski was great.
I don't mind Pulaski.
You're an idiot.
Yeah, I know I'm an idiot, but I don't mind her. But I love Crusher better.
Yeah, I agree. I don't mind her. She's got her moments. I get through season 2 because I know Crusher's coming back.
Yeah.
I take her for what she is, but just such a polar opposite.
Oh,
and
yeah.
we've in Patrick Stewart's book, he had nothing bad to say about her as an actress or a person, but she just did not fit in with the cast.
No.
They were thrilled to get Gates McFadden back.
Yeah.
There's a documentary called Center Seat, the 55 Years of Star Trek.
Okay.
It's put out by the Nacelle Company, and they had Polanski on it to talk to her about it. It was put out last year or 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And she's like, do you want to talk about your time there? She goes, nope.
So she
great.
was not happy.
Yeah, I've not seen that documentary.
It's great. It's
Is that by Brian Volksweiss?
Yeah, Brian Volkweiss. It is actually, I got the disc right there. So it's each hour is the TOS, and then the movies, and then Next Generation, and then DS9, and then so it kind of goes through everything.
Very cool.
That's right. Yeah, because it starts off with about Lucy,
Lucille Ball.
Lucille Ball getting Star Trek.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
It was a Desi production, wasn't it? The original series.
Yeah.
It was.
So that's a good watch. I would recommend it.
Cool. I'll have to do that.
But like quickly going back to Joe, this being his first Trek was DS9. We actually were originally going to go from DS9 right in the Next Generation. And I was telling, I'm like, no, we can't do that. We can't, because the quality difference in season 7 of DS9 versus season 1 of Next Generation is so stark. You're going to want to be done with Star Trek forever. So I'm
already there.
We actually broke it up. We put Battlestar Galactica, the reimagining, in between, and we reviewed that. And then now we're in the Next Generation, which still is a hard palate cleaner because that was not episodic as well. I mean, that was season arcs in that one.
I should bring up the Star Trek a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. So
I do I prefer episodic over serialized stuff.
Okay.
One of the things, Joe, you were saying you like so much about DS9 is it becomes heavily serialized later in the series.
Yeah.
But a lot of the other previous Star Trek episodes are episodic, and I like that.
Yeah.
The new stuff, Discovery and everything, is all I said the word and I forgot it already. Serialized.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, have you watched Strange New Worlds?
Strange New Worlds I have. That one has been the sort of saving grace
Yeah.
Absolutely.
of the newer stuff. I can honestly say that I've seen I can't say I remember them all very well, but I have seen every single episode of Star Trek, with the exception of season 3 of Picard, which I just started watching recently.
Oh, you're gonna have to give us some thoughts. Send us a message or something,
Yeah,
because
season 3 is
I enjoyed season 3.
season 1 and 2, garbage, but you know.
Season 1 was garbage. Season 2 I thought was okay. I hate saying it because I mean she may be a delightful person for all I know, but I don't like Allison Pill in that show. And
No, I agree.
Doctor, what the hell is her name? Girardi.
Girardi, yeah.
Yeah, I just don't care for her at all.
Well, you run I get what you're saying, because like right now we're watching season 1 of The Next Generation, right? And Wesley Crusher is kind of unbearable.
Yeah.
We've had Will Wheaton on the show, and we like Will Wheaton, so you kind of feel like you're cheating on Will Wheaton by bashing Wesley, but it's not a shot at Will Wheaton.
No.
Wesley just sucks.
I think we've done a good job at
No, we
identifying the issues we have with the character,
Yeah.
and pointing out that I think that at least at this point the character has been poorly written.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with Will Wheaton. Will Wheaton is executing the script the way that it was intended.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It sucks that they make him this wonder kid that like
Can do
it's
nothing
just
wrong.
poof.
Yeah.
Wesley knows what's going on.
Always.
And I don't think the character ever gets better, unless, and I don't even know if he reappears in season 3 of Picard. We get one moment with him in season 2 that I'm like,
Yeah.
okay with it. This is more Will Wheaton, really putting Will Wheaton into Wesley.
Exactly. As the traveler. Yeah.
It is the best Wesley Crusher scene, I think, in all of Star Trek, unless there's something in season 3 I haven't seen yet.
You know, I did like him in the episode where he was in Starfleet and they had the accident.
The Red Squad.
The Red Squad. I liked that one.
And the guy from Voyager. Why can't I remember?
Paris. Yeah.
Robert Duncan McNeil.
Robert Duncan McNeil.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yes. Who's going to be on the cruise this next year? So
You guys going? I did listen to your last episode.
we are going.
We are going.
So
A Nav visitor just pushed me over the edge. I'll tell you what. We got that video, and I said, "Well, this is going to happen now."
yeah, to take shots with Nana Visitor and sing karaoke with her, I got to do that, man.
Yeah.
I got to do that.
That does sound pretty amazing.
Yeah.
If you come, let us know.
Yeah.
We'll not be doing that. I hate doing things ever. If I had to
Really,
be
that
there
is a
with
thing.
you in the room, I may have done it, but you were much more likely to get me sitting here behind
Fair
my
enough.
I get you.
little green screen.
So Al, let's dive into your nerd resume. We got to know your CV. We got to know if you're qualified to even talk about these Next Generation episodes.
Wow.
What is your CV?
Well, number one, I guess will be the last 10 minutes of this conversation.
Exactly.
Dang it.
Yeah.
You got him.
I was
And
checked out at that point.
Nick doesn't listen to our show or anybody that's on it.
It's
Yeah,
true.
I mean, I had questions for Joe already, so
I know, exactly. Dang it. Shoot.
I was getting his resume. You found out.
You're not qualified. Get off.
Damn it. I have imposter syndrome. Every week I'm like, they're going to figure out, I don't know what the fuck's going on.
It's true. It's true.
That's all right. But I would say mine is I mean, I love my Star Trek. I love Star Wars. It's interesting. Growing up, I liked them both still.
Yeah.
But if you were to ask me which one I preferred when I was a kid, I would have preferred Star Wars.
Mhm.
And now it's switched in my head.
That's
Like
the same.
Star Wars is more action packed, and Star Trek is a little more cerebral, I think. And it just, as I changed, it just Star Trek became the more me
Yeah.
than Star
Yeah.
Wars. Still love Star Wars. The original trilogy is phenomenal.
Yeah.
That's about it. But Star Trek's got so much to offer, and it makes you think. And there's a lot of mystery to it. You know, there's always like a detective. You know, it's every episode is Sherlock Holmes or Dixon Hill. You know, I mean,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
incredible.
Yeah.
So sci-fi, I did go through a long time of reading comic books. I've kind of fallen off the comic books. I haven't collected probably in a good, I don't know, 4, 5, 6 years. I haven't collected anything, but comics, sci-fi, video games a little bit. I'm very casually into video games, but I'd say that's about it.
Okay.
When you were into comic books, what was you like your characters you got drawn towards?
Deadpool was my biggest thing before the movie came out.
Yeah.
Although I have to give my comic guy credit, he was the one who was like, dude, this is my favorite character. You've got a sense of humor. You have to read Deadpool. And I started collecting it. For anyone who's looking to read Deadpool because the movies made him more popular, Daniel Way is the writer. Daniel Way's run of Deadpool is incredible.
Okay.
Writing it down. Daniel Way. Got it.
Yeah. It's perfect. They've got like a 3-volume omnibus that you can get it as a trade paperback. That's my favorite comic ever.
Okay.
But Mark Millar, if you're looking at independent writers, he wrote the Civil War stuff. He's the guy who wrote Kick-Ass.
Yeah.
The Kingsmen are all based on his comics. So Mark Millar is one of my favorite writers and an easy read. You can rip right through one of his comics because it just flows so well. So there's a couple of top things, I guess, but Green Lantern's one of my favorites.
What about you mentioned MASH earlier. Is that your favorite TV show
Of all time? Absolutely.
Oh, nice.
Bar
Okay.
none. Yeah.
Okay.
Where does the TV show Reba fall in? Have you ever watched Reba?
My sisters used to watch it. I'm familiar.
Wow.
Yes.
So I knew of Reba being a sitcom actress before I knew she was a country music artist.
Okay.
My sisters watched her show. I'm glad you brought that up because like I said, I listened to your previous episode. You already made reference to it as being an inside joke, and I don't know what the Reba connection is. So
Please.
The Reba can go ahead.
I say for me or anyone else new to the podcast, what is this Reba thing?
Okay, the Reba connection is it's not as funny. It's just I like really shitty TV. I watch crappy sitcoms.
Like Two Broke Girls,
Reba,
Reba,
Girls,
yeah.
Mom, Reba, anything that's like I like watching sitcoms. I like old sitcoms. I will watch them and I'll watch them over and over. Mike and Molly, just the crappiest TV ever.
Oh God.
And I don't know. And I wake up early, not early for you, but early for me. I'm up at like 6 and I'm watching TV and I see on the Hallmark channel Reba was on, and my mom used to watch Reba, and I had watched it off and on in my late teens just because it was on in the house. My mom watched it, and so I just put it on, and I found myself just getting sucked into the crappy delivery of these terrible jokes and the terrible acting and the bad characters, and now I just watch Reba.
Yeah.
And then we had a guest on the show too.
Yeah, we had a guest. Sean, his name is Sean. He's a friend of ours. We had him on to talk. We've gone to Comic Cons with them, and we had him on, talked about a couple episodes. And I mentioned Reba, and he his eyes lit up because his wife watches Reba, so by proxy he watches Reba, and I had a Reba connection.
And it was like a 20-minute diatribe on Reba.
And then we started breaking down plot lines, and
it was the worst 20 minutes of my life.
It was terrible.
It was terrible.
so I'm aware that it's absolute dog shit TV, but it's funny to me because
My follow-up question, mostly for Nick and Rob here. Are you guys like Ricky Gervais fans?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is he your Carl Pilkington?
He could be.
Yeah.
He could be. He could be.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. He could be.
Oh, you just shave Joe's head and beard, and you've got your Carl Pilkington.
Oh, sorry, Joe. It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen.
We're gonna do it live on air.
you can't talk me off the Reba ledge. Eventually, so my new thing now is I found there's a TV channel on.
no.
I have Fubo for my live TV.
Okay,
There's
yeah.
a TV channel that only plays unsolved mysteries.
Oh, yeah. It's such a
So
great
now-
channel.
So now I'm binge watching old episodes of Unsolved Mysteries, and I'm walking around my house at night. I find myself pacing quicker like
Yeah.
I did when I was a kid.
Yeah. I get
Because Robert Stack, God rest his soul, it just scares the shit out of me. His voice scares the shit out of me as a
Yeah.
41-year-old adult male.
Yeah, he gave me nightmares as a child, but that show is absolutely incredible. I thought maybe you would stalk a little slower like he does in the show.
Yeah,
No,
exactly. Just coming out of the steam or whatever.
My washer and dryer are in the basement. I'm doing laundry and I'm booking it upstairs.
Do.
Like I'm skipping steps going upstairs. I'm like, What?
That's a good channel. That and the Rescue 911 channel are up there for me.
Ooh, I didn't see that.
There is.
They got Unsolved Mysteries channels on, like, either Sling's got a version of that. I think the one built into the Samsung
Pluto.
Yeah.
It's got one, so I love that it's out there, and you can just, whenever I can't find something to watch, Pluto's got Star Trek and they've got Unsolved Mysteries. It's the only reason to download the app.
Yep. And Cheers. I got sucked into the Cheers channel.
That's great.
Yep.
That's the thing, is like, you know what, Joe? Here's what I got to say for you is that do not apologize for a show that you love.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't.
You're not, and that's good. Because,
Scrubs.
Scrubs is fantastic.
Yeah.
oh, I don't know.
Oh,
I like
vindicated. Scrubs is actual garbage television.
it's I mean, the best I can give it is an okay.
Oh, you broke my heart.
I don't know. I'm more of a fan of older
Laughter.
TV.
Yeah.
MASH. I've been obsessed with Bob Newhart right now. I love that.
Yes.
Cheers is on the list.
Bob Newhart's ending is one of the best endings ever.
Oh yeah, from the one in the 80s when he's in the Vermont. Yeah, it is the greatest ending of all
It
time.
is so clever.
It is very clever.
You know who wrote that was his actual wife.
No, really.
Yeah, they were coming up with an idea. He was bouncing around different ideas for the ending, and his real life wife was like, "Why don't you wake up with whatever the actress who played Emily in the first series?" And she was like, "Oh, the whole thing was a dream. That's kind of brilliant."
It was genius.
That is genius.
Yeah, that was Newhart's wife's idea.
Nice.
Did Newhart do that before St. Elsewhere did theirs with the autistic kid with the snow globe? Do you remember that on St. Elsewhere?
Say I don't know.
Yeah,
I never.
no, I'd have to Google it.
He's like, I'm not sure which one did that first, and I'd be curious about that.
But the Bob Newhart show pulled it off perfectly.
Mhm.
Yeah. When was that on though? Because honestly, I know the title. I've never seen an episode. I don't know nothing about.
St. Elsewhere. Let's find out.
While he's looking, I got one question for Star Trek before we move on to whatever else we're gonna ramble on about. You got favorite episodes that off the top of your head of all the series, or does not limited to one?
I mean, one of my best of both worlds.
Of course.
That's the best Star Trek. I mean, it's got the best cliffhanger ever. Mr. Worf, fire.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful and great, and it's also like it's my favorite Star Trek villain. I'm kind of dancing around it because Joe hasn't experienced that yet. That's going to be your peak, Joe. There's great TNG after that that two-parter episode, but that to me is the peak.
I agree.
Oh my God, why the original series episode, it's the name is escaping me right now, but it's the one where McCoy is temporarily insane and jumps backwards in time, and it's
Sitting on the Edge of Forever.
Yep.
Yes, thank you. Oh my God, that's probably my favorite episode of that. Also, Balance of Terror.
Great episode.
Great episode. Mark Leonard is his first appearance as he's the Romulan captain before he becomes Spock's father, before he's and to me, going back and watching the original series, that was the episode where for the first time, you're like, this James T. Kirk is the captain that is a legend.
Yeah.
The cat and mouse and everything. So Balance of Terror is very high on the list for me.
Stranger Worlds did a kind of a follow up to Balance of Terror, which was really, really good too. Kind of showing had he acted differently, how it would have went south.
Yeah, if Pike was in charge instead of Kirk. Yeah.
And I you know what? I love a Q episode. So one of my favorites, I cannot think of the title of the episode, but the one where Q loses his powers is just John Delancey comedic gold.
Yep.
Yeah.
Q less.
Q less. Yeah. Q less.
Yeah, that sounds right. But yeah, when Picard comes to see him and he's, oh my God, like I was dizzy and I lost consciousness, and Picard just goes, "You fell asleep, Q."
It is a great episode.
That and there's the girl who turns out is actually a Q, and Picard actually is trying to convince her to go into the continuum, and he acts like a friend with Q, and he's very uncomfortable, and I love it.
Yeah, I get.
I love Q episode.
Okay, that's good to know.
Yep,
that's good to know.
So pizza.
Yeah,
Where we had an episode once where we talked about pizza, and ever since then, anybody who comes on the show, we ask them what their favorite kind of pizza is. Where's your pizza joint? Is Chicago crap style crap to you as well? So tell us about pizza. What's your favorite pizza place?
Oh God, if I'm going chain, I'm going Jets.
Okay.
My man.
Yep. So Jets is probably my favorite chain. We've got a couple of places near me. There's a place called Marco's in Kego Harbor that's pretty good. Or I'm sorry, that's Marco's is a different one. But I love a mom and pop. There is a local franchise that's got like 5 locations called Primo's Pizza. Yes, for those in the Detroit area, Birmingham, Oak Park, there's one in Livonia. That is my all-time favorite place. Yes.
I don't think I've had it.
Primo's is solid.
It's incredible. And also in Madison Heights, since you guys are Detroit guys, Lou's Pizza. I think it's on DeQuinder. Only deep dish. It is like the best sit down do a podcast field trip there one time, you guys. And it's incredible.
Deep dish, is it like Detroit style?
Yes. Yeah. Okay. And it's a small independent place that's always busy, which is a great sign.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Yeah. So, I mean, I love, I'm totally happy with a pepperoni and cheese. I love bacon and onion on something, as long as it doesn't have olives, I'm pretty much in.
Yeah.
Excellent.
I can track with that.
How about New York and Chicago style?
I can honestly say I've never had a Chicago style pizza.
Oh,
but I've got Detroit style. That's all I need.
Okay.
Joe, would you like to educate him on what Chicago style pizza is like?
Yeah, don't. That's what I would.
It's like a casserole.
It's a casserole. It's a casserole pizza. Okay. So you know how Detroit style pizza, there's a couple variations. Really, you have the Jets approach, which is like traditional toppings on the top, pepperoni on top of the cheese, but it's deep dish and it goes it's basically crustless, right? It goes all the way to the edge.
Yeah.
To me, that's Detroit style. That's if somebody said, what's the best Detroit style pizza, and you wanted to take them to a chain where they could get it, Jets Pizza. That's Detroit style. But you have the Buddy's approach, which is basically that, but they do the sauce on top as well. Chicago style takes that, but it's a deep dish casserole. It's almost flaky in a way the crust is. It's and all the top, like they do the reverse topping, so it's like the toppings and then the sauce on top. It's not. It's offensive. Like.
I mean, I feel like there's no doubt, and any list of your listeners from out of town may take issue with this, but there's no doubt that Detroit is the pizza capital of the states.
Yep.
Yes,
I agree.
100%.
I mean, so many of the major chains are headquartered here. Little Caesars, Hungry Howie's is a Detroit company. I believe Domino's is, which I don't. If we could forget them, that'd be great. But although I do respect them, I respect that Domino's had that ad campaign where, like, listen, we know we made shitty pizza. We are sorry. Please give us another try. And I appreciate.
And
that's a lot of balls.
Their new pizza is not that bad, though. If you've not had it,
well, they had to go to new pizza, so fundamentally, that's wrong.
Yeah. We literally bought 2 Domino's pizzas one time. One was good, one was trash. So
it really depends.
Same day, same staff working. It's not my go-to, but I also wouldn't not eat it.
So here's the real question then. Are we really in love with pizza, or do we really love obesity in Michigan? I can't decide.
Pizza.
I'll take both.
Yeah. I mean, because, really.
One's a vessel to the other. So
yeah, exactly.
It's a cause and effect thing. And as an obese man, I'll tell you, I don't love it, but I do love pizza.
Yeah, I know. I agree, my friend. I agree.
It's the journey. I love the journey.
Yeah. Speaking of journeys, you're on a journey, you're in this room, and all of a sudden a door opens.
Okay.
And a feral 5-year-old comes in and just charges at you. And you're like, okay, it's a 5-year-old. You got to fight this 5-year-old. And you're like, okay, I can take this 5-year-old. But then right after that, another 5-year-old, another one. And they just start flooding through, like in the Matrix where Agent Smith is like duplicating, and you're just surrounded by feral 5-year-olds. How many 5-year-olds are you able to take, do you think?
Oh, man, that's a great question, because one, you could easily punt.
Yeah. Yes.
but I mean that's going to deplete my energy level because I don't, take care of myself. So I could easily be overrun. I would say, at minimum, I could probably take on, I don't know, or at maximum, I could probably take 4.5.
4.5. Okay.
I'm gonna give you more credit than that, though.
One may get a bruise, but it's gonna, chomp down on my toe or something. I don't know what 5-year-old what their fighting strategy is, but
Mine's the fatigue argument. Like there was people in this podcast that said they could take out all of them, which is impossible.
Some of us could.
No, you couldn't.
But the fatigue would come into play. And I'm sorry, after 5, 10, 15, 20, you're gonna get tired, and these guys are gonna overwhelm you.
I just think 1 5-year-old to each leg and each arm, and you're done, because they just got to grip on. And imagine have you ever tried to walk when a 5-year-old grips onto a leg? Like, it's impossible. You're exhausted. Yeah. So you have a 5-year-old on each leg and one gripping on each arm. You're done. You're done.
You just drop an elbow like Randy Savage.
I just don't know.
Well, feel free to clip this out of context, but I think I could easily drop kick 1 to 4 toddlers, and then I'm fucked.
And I just think
I want to drop
at a certain point. It's not as fun as it used to be. Like at first you're like, this is the greatest experience of my life. And then after a while, you're just over it.
Listen, the first one you drop kick is going to set the tone. The rest of the kids are going to see that and they're going to be like,
but they're feral. They don't care. You're between there and you and their screen time.
Between them and their screen
time.
Their
iPad is behind you. Yes, exactly.
That's the best way to put it. You are in between a 5-year-old and their screen time.
Yeah.
How long until they overtake you?
You're done, man. You're done.
I also have to consider the fact I don't know how far I could punt a football. So I mean that the toddler's not going even. So I don't think it's not going to be much of an intimidation factor.
Yeah, I don't think they get much airtime.
I'm gonna be. I'll drop kick the 1, and I'm laying down, sweaty, needing a break.
Time out. Take a break here.
Oh, that's
tag.
Oh, talking about drop kicking 5-year-olds seems like a good segue into an episode talking about going into Starfleet, where children try to get into Starfleet. So let's do that. Let's make the transition over. As I make the transition over to episode reviews, though, I do want to say Saint Elsewhere ran from 1982 to 1988, just for the record.
Oh,
so, yeah, 82 to 88, and it had some really good actors on it.
So who did it first? I'm not sure. I don't year Newhart wrapped up.
Yeah.
I'll look it up while he's doing his 7 hours.
I'm going to say Newhart wrapped up in 1986.
He's known for doing these hot takes and actually being right for some reason. Just shouting out a random year, and it's always right.
It started. That's the first one.
Newhart.
Oh, here we go.
Bob Newhart show was the 70s. Newhart was in the 80s.
Yeah, exactly.
1990.
82 to May of 1990.
Oh, the St. Elsewhere did it first.
Yeah.
Dang it.
St. Elsewhere did it first. It was it ends like it's this whole series about a hospital, right? And all these things that they're going through. And then it ends with like they're zooming out of the hospital. And as you're zooming out of the hospital, it becomes a snow globe. And it's a snow globe held by an autistic kid. And it's like this whole thing was the imagination of an autistic kid.
We do have to thank that kid for Denzel Washington.
That's true, because Denzel was in St. Elsewhere.
Well, we can debate about whether Newhart ripped it off or not, but it's no question Men in Black ripped that off.
Oh, for sure.
Yes, absolutely did, with the marbles, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Ooh.
All right. Star Trek. Here we go. We're going in our reviews of Star Trek: The Next Generation. And today we're going to start with coming of age. Very easy plot synopsis here. An admiral friend of Picard shows up on the ship and says, you're under investigation. They have a commander investigating the crew, and they don't know why they're being investigated. All of a sudden, they're like, yeah, Picard sucks. Like the commander's like, Picard sucks. Tell me why he sucks. And the whole crew's like, no, he doesn't suck. He's pretty awesome. And the commander goes to the admiral at the end and says, actually, this guy's pretty awesome. In fact, he's so awesome, I want to serve under him. Picard's angry. Why are you doing this to me, bro? And he's like, I need men I can trust because something's going on with Starfleet and I need you and I want you to be an admiral. And Picard says, nah, dog, don't want to do that. Meanwhile, Wesley's trying to get in the Starfleet Academy.
Nah, dog, I believe is exactly what Patrick Stewart said.
Exactly. And then meanwhile, Wesley's trying to get in the Starfleet Academy. And he's the Wonder Kid again, of course. Everyone loves him. He's amazing. He's incredible, except for he actually loses out to someone else. He comes back to the Enterprise and he's like, I'm sorry I disappointed you, Captain Picard. And Captain Picard's like, nah, dog, you didn't disappoint me. And says, I failed too once, but just don't tell anyone or else I'll kill you. Yeah. End of the episode. So there you go. There's your summary. That's a solid summary.
I'd say that's a good summary.
You paraphrase. I mean, I think he said "nah, dog" more than you said that. I think you shortchanged him, but I think that overall that was pretty good.
Oh, there was a point in there where they were talking about Wesley's daddy dying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't do that, please.
I won't do the daddy thing.
Not with poor Al on the show.
Yeah.
For the love of God.
Okay. All right. So
the father thing is something they keep coming back to with Wesley, and I don't know. It's like this whole theme of forgiveness, because at one point he blamed Picard for his father's death, and he's come to forgive him, and they make him face that same decision in this episode. I will say, as a first season episode goes, this one isn't bad.
I agree.
I actually thought this was a pretty good episode.
Yeah. I enjoyed this episode.
Even Wesley. I know you dogged him in your summary, but I thought, as far as the Wonder Kid, he knows everything goes, I thought this was a pretty tame episode for that. And his character was actually likable.
It was more in place in this episode.
Yeah. And I mean, it's, to me, some of the stuff is insane, but it has more to do with Starfleet's method of accepting you into the, like, first of all, only one candidate gets to go in.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense.
Like, what military is like, we can only take one at a time. I know that they're really supposed to be about exploration. They're not really, but they're military.
Yes, they are.
Yeah.
So no, they need all the candidates they can get and then wash them out in the school. So that's insane already. That, but you also see Wesley as a genius, but as good.
Yes.
Like, a guy like Wesley could easily be a psychopath.
Oh yeah.
Shows a side of him where he's like, no, I care about other people, and he actually gives up a chance to go to Starfleet by helping Murdoch, or whatever his name is, buddy that he makes.
Murdoch, you're right.
But of course, that sets him up for a later episode that, a little Star Trek faux pas when he runs into they all look alike to me, when he meets another guy of Murdoch's species, and he's like, Murdoch, and he's like, nope.
No, bro.
Whoops.
I swear it wasn't racist. I have a friend who's that
who looks exactly like you, because he has the breathing thing, and he's got a fish face.
I called it a meth smoking harmonica. I think he was like, there's like smoke coming out. It's like a meth pipe.
Yeah.
He has it mounted like Bob Dylan.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, Bob Dylan.
Like, what?
Peter Frampton. He's got the guitar speaking thing. Yeah.
But this kid can't complete the test. He's high as a kite, man.
I know.
He doesn't know what's going on.
Can't focus.
Yeah. Those little shapes that were in the computer weren't even actually there. He's just imagining them.
Calculate your vector angle.
You turn on your computer, you idiot. Your computer's not on. Oh, the colors and the shape.
Hold it together on. So like, that part's weird to me, that it's only one person, but also like, man, can you imagine? I mean, you're trying to get into academy. It's like a job interview. Can you imagine interviewing for a job where they're like, we are going to get into your deepest, darkest fear.
Yes.
You live it, and we're going to watch you and see if you do it to our approval. What the fuck, man?
Yeah, I know, exactly. And then we're going to put you in a psychological exam where people are literally dying in front of you, and you're like, yeah, we were just pretending afterwards, and you're traumatized walking out crying.
So it's kind of like when I worked at the Ambassador Bridge.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. That would do it.
I like how they set up that test for Wesley at the end, and he's like, they could have died. They're like, in theory, yeah, but they're expendable. Fuck them. Like, we're trying to get you into Starfleet. These are obviously two people who aren't doing shit in Starfleet. We're getting them out.
Yeah.
But I don't, like, as a viewer, it was good to see, because of what Wesley struggles with losing his father in that exact same situation. So as a viewer, it's great information to have. But like, taking it as a world, like, man, Starfleet is really they're sociopaths. It's terrible.
Well, they are, because you think about this episode gives you a lot of information. Well, not a lot, but it goes deeper into Wesley's dad dying, because then Crusher is interviewed as well, and they're like, do you blame him, or he was responsible for the death of your husband, right? And how can you serve under him?
Yeah.
And she's basically like, nah, dog. And, again, she says, nah, dog.
That should have been the name of the episode, I think.
But it's like, so we're getting a lot of, before the most backstory we got is Picard brought his body back to Beverly. Now we're finding out he was there when the accident happened, and he actually chose who to save, and he wasn't the one to save.
And they will address this again later on, again without not giving too much away, Joe.
Yep.
Like there's another kid who loses a parent.
Yep.
You're covering your ears by putting your headphones closer to your ears.
I know. We did say he was smart.
For Joe.
Yeah.
But there's a kid who loses his parent, and they want Wesley to talk to him about it because they went through the same thing.
Yeah.
And a very similar thing where this kid could potentially blame Picard, which is something Wesley had to address himself. So, it does come up again and again.
Yeah. But you brought up a good point, because you're right. Wesley could have been written as a psychopath very easily. And he could have been written as a very unsympathetic character. This episode makes him a sympathetic character. I think does a good job of that,
especially at the end.
But also because this is one of the first times we've seen Wesley fail. In fact, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Point. I never considered that.
So is this why we really like Wesley in this episode? He fails. He doesn't make it.
Yeah, I like, and Wesley has a lot. He does have a lot of good qualities to him. I hated the character, and I'm still not a big fan. Seeing Will Wheaton on Big Bang Theory is actually what turned me around on him. Like, I really like Will Wheaton, and you guys have actually had a conversation with him.
Oh my gosh, an incredible conversation with him.
Which is great to hear that that he comes off one-on-one as good as I see him just in interviews and stuff. But just the way that character is written is terrible. I've always kind of like described him as Beaver Cleaver in space.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Whiz, it's just he's just too good. I mean, you're 15, man. Like, go be horny and screw shit up.
I know, exactly. Like on that one planet, man, he could have slept with all these women. Instead, he's playing catch, getting lost in the garden and sentenced to death.
Yeah. While playing football or whatever.
Starfleet officers don't lie.
Exactly. Yeah.
You're not Superman. Chill out. Another reason why I find that I'm not disliking this character actually goes with when we did our interview with him, because, in our interview, he really talked a lot about his experience with his parents growing up. And he does not get along with his parents at all. They really pushed him into acting, pushed him to do things he didn't want to do. And he spent a lot of time resenting his parents for it. And he said he's actually gotten to the point where he's cut them off. He doesn't talk to them at all anymore. And realizing that here he's written as this character who's super close with his mom and he's perfect, knowing that at home he's battling these feelings of insecurity and like his personal life is a train wreck while he's playing this character as a teenager, makes me go, man, you did a really good job in this role, because you can't see it at all about how miserable he really was.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I've had a complete 180 on the character of Wesley as I learned more about Will Wheaton and became more of a fan of Will Wheaton and heard him in interviews stand up for people like, listen, were you bullied? Like, so was I. Like, it's okay. Like I heard him say some very, very encouraging things to people at like Comic-Con panels or something like that. And he seems like a great guy. And becoming a fan of Will Wheaton has turned me around a little bit on the Wesley character. Yeah. Although, if I'm being honest, not all that sad that he goes away.
Spoiler.
That's fine.
But he's replaced with Alexander Roshenko, which is not an even trade.
No, but just going back.
Oh my gosh, we get more Worf.
Worf is a great.
Worf is a dad. Oh gosh, that's dramatic.
Oh,
yeah,
no.
I'll circle back to some Worf stuff when we talk about the next episode.
Absolutely,
we're going to get into that for sure. But so we focused a lot on Wesley, but that's actually the B plot in this episode. The A plot is really the investigation of Picard, and one of the things I feel like this episode does really well is when this commander is bringing up all these events that happened in the past, they're bringing up events that we've seen.
It was a nice recap
from our perspective.
Yeah,
and we've seen like, oh my gosh, when you report these in the logs, they really make Picard look like a bad captain.
They really do, yeah.
But you had to be there to understand really what was happening.
It's events taken out of context. If it's just a log, you're looking at a high level, you're like, this is incompetence, but you're not really dealing with the in scenario real world.
Yeah.
I actually really like the way they handled it as well, because it's really giving you a snapshot early in a series of what a great Captain Picard is. And this is season 1 where it's kind of, he's still figuring out the character. They're figuring out how to write for him a little bit still. Yeah. And he becomes so much better of a captain down the road.
Right.
But this one, they do a good job of showing that this guy belongs in charge of the flagship as they are trying to poke holes in decisions he's made, grilling his executive officers. They all have his back. They already love him dearly, 19 episodes into the series.
Yeah.
And you're almost as a viewer sitting there going like, what the hell? What's the problem? Like, why are you
Yeah.
this
That was
guy?
my thing.
Yeah, and then you get
What
to
the hell's going on here?
and then you get to the end and you realize, like, oh no, the Admiral thinks so too. He's trying to find the dirt and there's none on him.
Yeah, exactly.
Guy who was going to stop at nothing. But you also see Picard, maybe Riker, it gets to him a little bit where he's like, you're attacking my captain, but Picard never loses his cool. And he says, yeah, answer the questions. And the one time he gets has a problem with the inquiry, the investigation, is when he's saving that kid who's about to crash land into the planet, and he's like, get the hell out of my way, I have some captaining to do, you can grill me later. And then this is the first time we see what an accomplished pilot Picard is. Picard is an extremely good pilot, and there's a couple of times he takes the controls at a very difficult moment, and this is the first time we get a glimpse of how talented he is as a pilot when he walks that kid through how to bounce off the atmosphere and not crash. So I think it's a great episode for Picard. And then at the end they're like, no, we want you to be the commandant, we think you're a great captain, we just wanted to make sure there wasn't anything hiding,
To vet you.
Yeah. So I think it ends up being a great episode for Picard, although the whole time you're like, what the hell? What are you doing?
What's going on, man?
Why are you being so mean to him?
I know, it's not cool.
That investigator was a twerp, though.
Yeah.
He was good at his job.
No, he wasn't.
His job was to get under their skin and get them to
His
stay
presence was
emotionally.
under his presence on screen was getting under my skin.
Yeah, which is his point. His point is to make you uncomfortable.
And to make the viewer uncomfortable.
But I didn't like him. I thought he was an asshole.
You know what? Good at his job, was an asshole though. Here's a spoiler for you. He doesn't show up 2 years later when his tour with the runs out. Picard also thought he was a dick.
I was gonna imagine like when he's like, I'd like to be placed here, and he looks at Picard. I imagine Picard in his head's like, "F you, man! Like that ain't happening."
This guy's a douche.
I've got the cheapest ass green screen ever. You can see it's starting to.
I see it a little bit.
We're having a little bit of a wardrobe malfunction.
Oh no!
It looks so good for so much of this time,
and it's now dropping the ball, right?
It's all good.
I think there's a really important moment in this episode that everyone is failing to mention, and it's really breaking my heart. This is the very first time we see the Riker maneuver on.
Yes,
that's true.
I was sitting there.
I didn't think of it as being the first time, but I promise you, as I was watching the episode, and the Admiral or the investigator tells him to sit down, I'm like, do it.
Yeah. It's like the Leonardo DiCaprio mime. You're like, oh, there it is.
Yeah, I was waiting for it.
And
I didn't realize it was the first appearance, though.
It's kind of funny because it's like he's trying to do it as a power move, but the way he does it, you're like, oh, that's not very powerful looking the way you sat in that chair.
He does it because his back hurts.
I know, right? Like just the way he lifts his leg over his head.
I know you guys have seen the video that's gone around online of a fan doing that, and he does it over something higher and higher.
Yep. Yeah.
Back of a computer chair.
Yep. I don't know if you watched the crossover between Lower Decks and Strange New Worlds, but when what's his name? Boimler does it, he says Riker, and it's improv, and I thought it was so funny.
And they kept it in the episode. Yeah, he just did it out of the blue, and they kept it.
I really enjoy Lower Decks only because I don't count it as canon. Okay. It is a Star Trek byproduct. You can do whatever you want, make whatever reference you want. This is not canon, though. It's almost Star Trek satire, and it's funny. If they were trying to canonize it, like they do with Discovery, I'd hate it.
See, it wouldn't bother me if they canonized it, because I view it as like a retelling of what actually happened on the Cerritos. I don't view it as like a real time.
You view it's kind of like they're reflecting on that time.
Yeah, exactly. And they're kind of like viewing it as a goofier manner. Because I think actually Discovery does, or not Discovery. No, I think Lower Decks does a really good job of nailing the Star Trek spirit, but also I think Star Trek a lot of the times takes itself way too seriously. And I love that how Lower Decks kind of like pokes a little bit of fun at it and helps you realize, yeah, we are being a little bit of idiots when we get so obsessed with canon and stuff like that. So that's why I enjoy it.
Yeah.
I'm with you though, because canon is
It's
very
coming
important to me.
more. It's bleeding slowly.
Hey,
You're getting pushed out.
I think we got it.
Oh,
Canon is my biggest issue I have with Discovery. Well,
gosh.
and acting and producing, and it's just a real piece of garbage, that show.
I agree, and I've been given a hard time for that.
No,
Initially, you were like, "That's not that bad."
I said it's not that bad. I never said it was good, but I didn't say it was garbage. Now I'm more in the garbage category.
Just a brief, because I know I'm sure we're going along, but just a brief overview of Discovery. Here's my thing. Season 1 and season 2 had something to like about it.
Yeah.
I loved Captain Lorca in season 1. Jason Isaacs was amazing.
Yes.
That was great.
Yeah.
Season 2, we had Anson Mount, and he is incredible. I'm so glad we have Strange New Worlds. That's a good show. But season 3 and 4 had nothing to like.
When they went into the future.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, and there's a you guys.
Go ahead.
Say it.
Go
Go
ahead.
ahead.
When they first show up in the future.
Yeah.
And they are reuniting with for the modern day now Starfleet.
Yeah.
And pass by the Voyager and go, "Hey, look, it's the Voyager. Voyager was in your future. It means nothing to you."
How would they? I didn't even think of
It's I was screaming at the television like, "You don't know. You don't care. That means
200 years in the future. You would never know.
you are pre-Kirk. You are pre-Kirk." And like, to me, my whole thing was the best way to solve the issues I had with Discovery was this show should be in the future.
Yeah.
And you went past. And you finally put them in the future, and I go, okay, maybe we can do something. And the first thing you do is look, the Voyager that I know nothing about, but I'm excited anyway, some reason.
Well, you didn't like the storyline where a guy is sad, so all the dilithium is destroyed in the universe? I thought that was a good
Did
story.
it cheer him up?
Yeah, he got sad, and it blew up all the dilithium.
Dare I forget?
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
It's and they're, you know, and original series, Next Gen. I mean, that peak, the three that were the peak. You know, Next Gen, Deep Space Nine, Voyager. Everything, like I said before, it's a mystery. They problem solve, investigation, get the solution. Everything's good. They save the world. Every solution to Discovery is, wait a minute. If we believe in ourselves, then we'll win. And that's all they do every episode.
Quick, burn them, cry for a minute, then get really strong and confident.
Yeah.
Really
I'll let the 5-year-old whip my ass. I just want to drop kick Michael one time.
I hate Michael Burnham.
They're
they're
gonna come after us. Don't worry.
I do not like Michael Burnham as a captain, and it's not that Michael Burnham could be a fine character if she was not a captain. If she was like a lieutenant who was really struggling, and they were kind of just like forcing her along, almost like Ro in Next Generation, right? They're trying to make her into something, and she's just fighting it. Yep. But they make her a captain. This is someone who committed mutiny, and they're like, well, you get to captain your own ship now.
Well, she is basically what the first season Wesley Crusher in the show. She solves everything.
Yeah, she's perfect.
Yeah.
There is one good character in that, and that's Saru. Saru's pretty cool.
Yeah, Saru's good. I
like Booker too.
Oh gosh, no.
No, wait. Janet Reno.
Janet Reno's cool.
The engineer.
Yeah.
She was fun.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Really the character's name?
Janet Reno, yeah.
Wasn't it?
No, Janet Reno. It's
Janet Reno's
Reno is her name.
Reno is her name though.
Yeah, Janet Reno was a
politician.
Attorney general.
Attorney General
under Bill Clinton.
Yeah.
Yeah, Will Ferrell played Janet Reno on SNL.
And I did enjoy Rainn Wilson coming in as Harry Mudd. That was a little bit of fun, that
was the best episode of Discovery, I think.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah.
But yeah, overall.
Yeah.
I agree.
Anyways, we went down a rabbit hole of Discovery. Anything else stand out in this episode with the interviews with the Commandant and all of that?
I just wonder if it's going to come back to haunt us.
For probably the worst episode of the first season, maybe.
And some really graphic scenes too, right?
Yeah.
Super graphic.
I don't want to say anything more than that since Joe hasn't seen it yet, but that was the most bizarre. You've seen nothing like it before or since.
I'm going to ruin it for you, Joe. There's a lot of graphic with Yar.
Symbiosis.
Is it in season 1?
Yeah.
I'm a liar.
Hardcore pornography. Get ready. It's coming.
Nice.
It's really graphic.
Yeah.
Really graphic.
Yar and
So
Data
Yar.
go at it again.
Yeah, Yar and Data in real time, baby.
Yeah.
I think it's the Data stream for real.
Oh gosh.
I did like to go back to Crusher. I did like that they had this moment where they humanized him.
Mhm.
And I know he is human, but he's seen as this like
Savant.
super savant. Like, but when the girl was like, if you weren't so cute.
Oh my gosh.
I like that. I thought it was kind of fun.
Yeah.
He's like, he just had a normal reaction. Like
normal
she thought
teenager reaction.
She thought he was cute.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
He told the meth smoker guy.
Yeah, he told the meth addict.
At least he's 15 and it's okay. Like, Jordy, what's your
Right.
problem?
Yeah,
Right?
right. Oh gosh, Jordy, come on, man.
Yeah, there's some bad decisions. You're right.
Yeah.
Poor guy. We do. I mean, we in Picard we do get to meet his offspring, so he gets laid at least once in his life.
Yeah, he
Yeah,
does.
it's true.
Yes, he does.
Twice, actually, because he has 2 daughters in
They could have been twins.
Yeah.
We don't know. They could have been twins.
If they're different ages, they're probably not twins, bud.
Yeah.
Are they different ages?
Yeah, they're different ages.
Oh shoot. What do I know?
Nick, why don't you look up how twins work?
I can't do it. I can't do it. All right. Are we ready to move on to the next episode, gentlemen, or is there anything else
As
you
far as
want?
I'm concerned, yeah.
Okay. All right. So the next episode, we're in Heart of Glory, not to be confused with a Lady Gaga song, Edge of Glory. So the Enterprise enters the neutral zone. They're investigating a Tellurian freighter, and as they're investigating the freighter, Geordi goes on with an away crew, and they make a big deal about his visor for some reason, but then it goes away very quickly
And never seen again.
and never seen again.
Never seen again. Yeah. The next time they hack his visor, it looks normal.
Yeah. And I love this whole idea of, wow, we discovered how a live camera works.
Yeah.
That's literally what they did. Okay. So
Yeah.
anyways, they find a couple Cleons on the ship, 3 Cleons to be exact. They beam them back. Worf is fascinated by these Cleons. He wants to hang out with them. And as Worf is hanging out with them, these Cleons are like, we were attacked out of the blue. No, it turns out these Cleons are on the run from their own kind because they're trying to start wars and fights, and they've blown up their own Cleon ships to get away. And Worf is like, oh, you guys kind of suck, but you're helping me discover what it means to be a Cleon again, which is great, bro. And then another Cleon ship shows up and says, hey, those are our prisoners. We want them back. And Worf's like, no, you can't do that. Picard says, no, we have to. And as they go to transfer the prisoners over, they escape. They're running around. One of them gets killed. Another one, Worf has to actually shoot himself, and he lets out his big giant growl to let the afterlife know he's coming, to let Stovacor know that they're coming their way. The end.
In a nutshell.
The end. Yeah, that's pretty much the end.
Yeah.
There you go.
Finally, a Worf episode ish.
See, and you say finally, I will say for me personally, I really am not a fan of the episodes where they focus too much on Klingons.
Same.
I feel like the more we learn about Klingons, the less menacing they become. And it's like, to me, like I look at some of their obsession with rituals and things like that. And I'm like, how the hell did you achieve drive?
Yeah.
I think they stole it from somebody.
Maybe. I mean, because not everyone follows the Prime Directive, so like there could be a warp faring race that could have landed on Kronos.
They
And
killed him.
it.
Yeah.
But you had to figure it out and duplicate it. But everything you see about Klingons, when you learn more about them, you're like, they're idiots. And also,
Right. Yeah.
They truly are.
that run very clumsy and aren't very good at fighting.
Yeah, they're not good in science. They constantly question command and are constantly fighting with one another. Like, how do they get where they are?
Space pirates.
Yeah, but pirates were never organized for a reason, right?
Yep.
And it's completely different from the original series where they are believable.
Yeah.
I think after you get into the movies and the ridges appear, they become more animalistic and less believable as a spacefaring race and threat, in my opinion.
I think in the undiscovered country, they're pretty solid because, you have Kirk and McCoy there before, like they're standing trial, and it's a legitimate trial. Yes, it's a kangaroo court, right? But it shows that there's this bureaucracy with the Cleons.
Plus, Star Trek 6 was amazing.
Yes, it was.
That movie so
Oh,
much.
me too.
The best.
I
Star Trek.
know that I only have DS9 to go on, but I feel like what Deep Space Nine did with Klingons was well advanced of what we saw in this episode. Like they were strategic in the war.
Yeah.
They were cerebral at times. They still had their laurels and their morals, but they were more heady.
See, I go the opposite direction of you. I feel like the Klingons in this episode, like you notice they don't have their big growls. They kind of talk like humans do. They're not really. I mean, the only thing that really makes them different right now is the makeup and the costumes, right? Like they're not really that different. And then in Deep Space Nine, I feel like they do get a little zany, a little too zany, like
at times
with their gog eating and all. Like it just gets a little out there for me.
But to Al's point, like they were they felt more menacing in Deep Space Nine, but they also felt like they had a grasp. They weren't just strategy. Like total idiots floating through space, beating people up. They were strategic. There were reasons they did or did not fight. They were like, I don't know. I felt like they were that this was like a rough draft of what we were getting, where we were going with Klingons.
Saying there, I feel like they peak in the original cast movies.
Mm-hmm.
You start seeing when Doc Brown, the Klingon, we see him.
Yeah, I mean, like that whole dinner scene in Star Trek 6. Yeah.
But
they made them intelligent, right? Like the Chancellor was extremely intelligent. And then in Deep Space Nine, your chancellors were all idiots.
Well, yeah, Gowron was the best example. Actually, Gowron, oddly enough, was better in Next Generation than he was.
Yes, I agree. 100%. Like
100% true.
I feel like you kind of like him in the Next Generation, and it kind of flips for me in DS9.
They tried to make him the dumb leader, for lack of a better term, in DS9 to justify Martok coming around.
My opinion could be it could be not age well.
No,
it could not age well.
I would agree to a certain point. I think DS9 was a little inconsistent with their Klingon portrayal. Okay. But I think that once Martok got control, they cleaned it up.
But again, my TNG knowledge is just up to these first 18, 19 episodes. So what's coming and how they develop and the more Klingons they introduce, I don't have that yet. So
just my opinion with the Klingons is that if Klingons are there, it's fine. It's when they try to go too deep into their culture.
I would agree.
Become a little cartoonish to me and unbelievable as a species in the world. Yeah. So I like Klingons, don't like Klingon focused episodes.
I would say they're a little overused.
Yes. I will say this episode that we have here is a little bit of the exception. Now, no question, the previous one we talked about, I thought was a better episode of Star Trek.
Yeah.
That we just talked about. This one, about the most positive thing I can say about it really is that I've had this opinion of Worf and this is, I really feel the only time they really address it, the fact that Worf, it has no idea how to be a Klingon and knows nothing about the Klingons, even though he constantly in his entire Star Trek existence is Klingons do this and a Klingon would never laugh.
Yeah.
And we find out like later, like he has said, like Klingons have no sense of humor. And then Riker does that like student exchange program thing where he ends up on a Klingon ship and they're like, we laugh all the time.
Yeah.
It's like Worf, he was a child when he was adopted by a Russian couple.
Yep.
Yeah.
He's a human, and all he knows about Klingons is what he read and what he saw, like, and whatever their version of TV is in that world, And I noticed it in this episode where the third Klingon who dies, the first one who dies in the episode, and they open his eyes so he can greet death with his eyes open, and then they do their death ritual where they scream it to the heavens. Worf has to look at them and take their cue.
Yep.
Yeah, he did.
Like looks and goes, "Oh, as a Klingon, I'm supposed to do that."
Yep. Yeah.
And later, when somebody else dies that I won't say anything about, sorry, Joe, he just jumps right into it, so because he knows he's supposed to do that now.
Yeah, exactly.
So it just he doesn't know. He doesn't know how to be a Klingon. He knows nothing about him, but he constantly actually. And this is the only episode that's really like, you're not a Klingon.
But he did it instinctually after he killed the guy in this episode.
Yeah, in the
it's like the second, like the later part
but
of
that
it.
was like 5 hours later. So
He goes, that's what I'm supposed to do.
yeah.
Do you think Crusher was in the background when they did the Klingon scream, going, "Everybody scream"?
Yeah.
I hope so. But Al, that's such a good point about Worf, and it reminds me of, like, you think about current culture in our current world where you have, like, in the United States, all these families go over to China and adopt these Chinese babies and children from other countries, and they bring them back and raise them as Americans. And then, then unfortunately we have racism in this country where people are like, go back to your country. And they're like, I don't even know what you're talking about. Like, I'm American. Like, I don't, and that's the same thing with Worf. Like, be a Klingon. I don't know how to be a Klingon. I'm basically a human.
Aziz Ansari is right from Parks.
Yes.
One of his greatest points that he makes in stand-up is like, they're like, oh, go back where you came from. He's like, North Carolina.
Yeah.
I know I'm brown, but I'm American,
So it's the same idea. And then unfortunately, like, very similar to like a child who's adopted from another country, you get it from both sides. Like, your people that you're from, your country you're from, it says you're not a real, Chinese child, and an American say you're not a real American. Same thing happens here with Worf. You're not,
And you know what? If you had a child who was born in China and adopted, what Worf does is, like, if that child leaned into every stereotype that they learned from racist people in the country and was like, that's how I'm supposed to act because I'm actually Chinese.
I watched Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. I know.
Yeah, Worf's like, I saw Star Trek 3.
Yeah. So, so like, that's all Worf has to go on. He's created his entire Klingon persona off of some ingrown instincts, but also the stereotypes that he learned from growing up on Earth.
Right.
More Russian than he is Klingon.
Yeah.
Which, ironically, they were the stand-in for the Russians.
Yeah. Not that dissimilar.
Yeah. Which tracks, right? Because the more you learn about the Russians now, the more you're like, you guys are like ridiculous. You're not really a threat, right? The same thing with the Klingons. The more we learn about them, we're like, okay, I don't really take you seriously anymore.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. So
they don't feel like a real threat ever in really Star Trek, minus the movies.
Oh, in the Dominion War, they showed up and helped out a few of those battles quite
but
a bit.
they weren't a threat.
They were an asset,
like
though.
Like the Romulans are. The Romulans feel like a real threat to some extent because the less you see of them, the more scared you are of them. Like
Agreed.
Balance of Terror, right? That's a good example of that.
right.
Mm-hmm. So,
yeah, I mean, I don't have much else to say on this episode, except I did also notice that one way that you can tell that Gene Roddenberry was still alive is that when they go into the engineering section, there's still women in scants.
yeah, there are.
Yeah.
So there's a woman sitting at a panel, and there's a whole lot of legs showing. I was like, yes, Roddenberry.
Yeah, Gene's still there, man. Oh, God.
But so
Man.
the fact that it backs me up on opinions I've had of Worf, number one, and number two, when you gave me the episodes to watch, Joe, Heart of Glory, I had mixed up with the one you guys referenced it earlier, but the one where Tasha is kidnapped.
Yeah.
That I thought at first from the title it was that episode, and I was like, oh God, I may have to cancel.
These episodes suck.
Listen, there have been weeks where I've watched the episodes and I'm like, you know what? I'm coming down with something. I don't think I can I don't think I can do it this week.
It's a pretty terrible episode of Star Trek. The only one worse, I think, is the original series Space Hippie episode. I can't stand that one.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they playing their guitar in the Enterprise, and then they land on the planet and their bare hippie feet, and to find out the surface is like poison, and they like fall over and die.
So the moral of that episode was hippies are the worst.
Yeah,
it's true. It's true. It's true.
Man, those last two episodes last week were terrible.
Yeah. But I think there's something to be said. Like, one of the things that we found as we're doing these reviews is some of the worst episodes kind of create the best conversation and bring up really good points, right? Like,
they can be standalone hot piles of garbage.
Can be standalone hot piles of garbage, absolutely. But there's still there's some good stuff in here about Worf, right? Is this a great episode? Not really, but exploring what your identity is a really kind of a cool topic of conversation. The last episode, exploring what it means to be a good commander in Captain Picard when the logs look like you're a bad commander and it turns out you're not.
Well, we look at Picard this episode. Picard was encouraging like indirectly, like hands off Worf, spend time with those people.
Yeah, he let him every step of the way, right?
Yeah.
Except for at one point they didn't know if they were going to have to kill Worf or not when he was with the two Cleons. That was a little odd.
Yeah, that was weird.
He just kind of stands there and is like not taking a side.
Yeah. I mean, this one was okay. I mean, as first season episodes go, we had a good one and an okay one. There's much worse. Joe, when you get into season 3, you are going to be very happy with the series.
I hope so. I don't even know if I'll make it to season 3.
Yeah.
Season 2 has got a couple of really good ones. Measure of a Man is going to be a really good episode to enjoy. But there's some good stuff between here and there. But once you hit season 3, man, it's probably even better than Deep Space Nine. Honestly, to me, Next Gen is the best series.
That's a hot take.
Between now and through season 2, I'm going to need several wellness checks, though.
Yeah, you're going to need some.
Do you think?
Like, here's the thing. Here's the thing going from Next Gen to Deep Space Nine. Deep Space Nine season 1 isn't the best. It's a little bit slower. It takes a little bit of time to get going. But season 1 of DS9 is infinitely better than season 1 and 2 of TNG.
Yes.
But when they really start firing all cylinders, when they become an Emmy award-winning show,
and Roddenberry dies,
and
how dare you?
And Maurice Hurley is gone. It becomes basically when oh God, what are the names? Is it more
Michael Pillar takes over in season 3.
When those guys really take over as the showrunners, man, it is great television. And Deep Space Nine, I think, is good and then gets incredible when Next Generation wraps up and those showrunners move over from TNG. A lot of the staff moves over from TNG to DS9, and that's when you get like the best Deep Space Nine episodes. Man, I can't. Watching TNG for the first time, I actually kind of am jealous of you, Joe. I really am.
Well, I told him that when we were watching DS9, like, I know what's going to happen in this episode, and I wish I didn't. I wish I could live through your eyes.
Yeah, I love it when I sit down and watch an episode. I'm like, I can't remember how this ends. This is incredible, and it gets. And as it goes, I start to remember little bits and pieces. But then, you get to the end, and you're like, "Oh, that was so cool! I didn't see that coming." I love it. I really do. For me, growing up, my Star Trek background mostly was the original cast movies, Star Trek 1 through 6, and 5 is terrible, but
I just gotta need a starship.
And Next Gen reruns when I was a kid. I loved Next Gen and the original cast movies. Saw more of those than the original series. I had to watch that a little bit later on.
Same.
I don't think anyone was playing it around here when we were kids, were they?
It was on late at night. Like Channel 50 ran it like 1 in the morning.
At 1 in the morning, because they would play a Next Generation episode at midnight, and then afterwards would be a TOS episode.
Yeah, because
remember that.
Yeah. And when I was a kid, I mean, I wasn't up that late, so I remember when Voyager first launched on UPN.
Yes,
and I watched that. Like, thank you for having me here because. I love Star Trek. I love talking Star Trek.
I know, man. I think Voyager is actually a series that gets a lot of crap, and it's not as bad as people make it out to be. I think Voyager's issue was it followed up DS9 and TNG, which were beloved, right? DS9 beloved because it was a overarching plot, and TNG because people fell in love with these characters, right?
TNG was beloved. I think DS9 was tolerated it.
And I think Voyager, one of its greatest flaws was it didn't live into its promise. Like it was solid, but there was no reason why it needed to be in the Delta Quadrant because it was basically just an episodic show of exploring strange new worlds, right?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. No, that is great. I do like that we meet a couple of Ferengi.
Yeah.
We find out what happened with them.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. All right, so now this is the part where we rate these episodes. So we rate these on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being the worst pile of garbage you've ever seen, 10 being a masterpiece of an episode. So let's start with the first episode, not Heart of Glory. It is titled, I don't remember already the name of it. Gosh,
this is great.
Coming of Age.
Coming of Age. See, you bailed me out again. See, Elle can be on the show anytime. These guys like to watch me just squirm.
Yeah, we don't need anybody bailing you out.
Over to my left here with some notes on it that I took.
Coming of Age. So, Elle, we'll start with you. What would you give Coming of Age out of 10?
Out of 10.
Yeah.
Okay, so do you want me to rate this as Star Trek so far or knowing what the rest of the series is? Because I could go, it would be much higher if it's Star Trek so far.
Yeah. That's the trick that Rob and I are running into here, actually.
I try to take it as just an entity through Star Trek. So I do
Star Trek. I know what the rest of TNG is.
And I do weigh into it as early, but I generally kind of say whatever TNG is, DS9 is, Voyager is, Strange New Worlds is, Discovery is.
I'll give you both answers. As at TNG to this point, I'll actually give it an 8. There's a lot of great stuff in there that we learn about. It fleshes out Wesley a little bit, answers some questions. You see some of the leadership qualities of Picard. The plot really isn't terrible. The only real issues with the plot are some of the silly things Starfleet makes you do to get into their academy.
Yeah.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
TNG to date, I will give it an 8. But knowing what's coming, I'll drop it down 1 point to a 7.
Okay.
That's a pretty good grade.
That's pretty.
That is pretty good grade.
See, I view these episodes. I try to view them all completely isolated, like I've never seen any episode of anything ever before.
I try to view them. Am I enjoying this episode?
That's kind of the way I look at it, right? So, and
I give it the 8 rating. 7 compared to other TNG episodes.
to me, I'm like a 6.5, 6.5, because I think this is a solid episode. It's one I would rewatch, but I don't think it's the most compelling television out there, right? There's better television, but it's good. It's good.
I think that's about where I was at, like 6.5.
Yeah.
It is one of the better episodes I've seen so far this season, probably in the top 5 or so.
I would say
so far. The fact that Wesley isn't incredibly annoying,
that helps,
and he has a lot of screen time and plot time.
Yeah.
I do like the investigative stuff. The guy was an asshole, but that's what he's supposed to do. So the character is making me feel things.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, 6.5. I would rewatch it. It's not top end Star Trek though.
I'd go 6.
6 for you.
Yep.
All right. Heart of Glory. Rob, let's start with you this time.
I'm gonna go with a 4.
A 4 for Rob. Okay. Joe.
It's probably a little better than that, like 4.5.
I'm probably like a 4 as well. What about you, Al?
All right. Well, I'm gonna give it. I'm gonna give it a half a point out of the gate because it wasn't the episode I thought it was.
Oh, good. Yeah.
It automatically gets a 0.5 for being a different episode.
There you go. There you go.
And I am going to give it. I'm going to give it a 5, and the only reason I'm giving it a 5 is because I have bitched and complained about Worf not really being a Klingon forever. And one of the few episodes where you can really see it, and anyone who wants to argue with you, you can go, no, look at this one. Look at this. He doesn't know what he's doing. He's learning how to be a Klingon as we speak.
Yeah, cut him a break.
So it would be a 4.5, but it gets the extra half point because I was wrong about which episode it was.
You were expecting a Tasha Yar episode.
Yes, I was. What I can't remember. You guys said the title earlier. What was that? The one where she gets kidnapped by that.
Oh,
I don't remember now. Rob should know.
She has to fight someone with a poison fist.
Oh, Code of Honor.
Code of Honor. Yeah.
Code of Honor. Yeah, I thought that was the episode I was in for. And when it wasn't already, it gets a 0.5.
We were gonna prank you with that episode. Is kind of what we were gonna do.
Yeah. Remember when you were a kid playing on jungle gyms? Let's watch a whole episode about that where they bounce around on a jungle gym with sharp seeds of poison.
Yes.
That's all that episode is.
And we'll just kidnap women, and it's okay. So I mean,
that's not okay.
There's a lot wrong with that episode. So
there is.
Yeah, there's some issues with that one. Yeah. But
So-
thanks for joining us, man. We really appreciate it.
what's that?
We really appreciate you joining us today. That was a lot of fun.
This was a lot of fun. So anytime you ever want me back, I would be more than happy to watch episodes, hopefully better ones.
We'll just have to book you a year in advance, right?
My actual number now. So shooting me a text, it'll be a little bit easier.
Yeah. Do you want a chance to plug your show?
You know what, man? If anyone wants to check out the Dave and Chuck the Freak show, daveandchuckthefreak.com. We've got all of our podcasts up there. We've got our Peep Show video, which is cameras mounted inside the studio, and we release a fresh one every single day. And it's not for everybody. We'll all tell you that, but it's supposed to be a comedy. We look at the lighter side of the news and we make fun of it, and we make fun of everybody. And it's 7 people who genuinely like each other, who show up to laugh and hopefully make you laugh too. So, and you can find me pretty much across all platforms at Al Beck Radio. So Facebook, X, Instagram, whatever, you can find me there. And that's about it, man. I really appreciate talking to you guys. This was a lot of fun.
Yeah, we had a blast too.
A lot of fun.
Yeah.
Can you catch Midnight Metal? Is it in podcast form? Do they podcast that and put it out, or is that something you'd have to listen to? Because you can go to the Riff website and listen live.
You can go to the Riff website and listen live. So if you happen to be into heavy metal at 12 midnight, keeping in mind 12 midnight is a new day, Friday morning at 12 midnight. So Thursday night into Friday morning, 12 midnight Eastern time, WRIF.com is the website. You can stream it anywhere in the world. If you like heavy metal, we do an hour a week, and we cannot podcast it because of copyright laws.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, I wish I could. I used to do like a YouTube video playlist, but I just too busy in with the morning show stuff, and that takes priority. So I had to stop doing that. But
I get you.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Well, thanks for tuning in. We really appreciate it, Al. It's been great. It's been a blast. We've had a good time. Anything else you guys got to say?
No,
not really.
No, I guess we'll make a little conversation afterwards, but then
yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I appreciate you coming on.
That ending was like shoes in a dryer.
All right, we're awkward.
Yeah, no, it was great. It was awesome.
All right.
Yeah, no, you guys
somebody else who's
loved it.
Somebody else who's on that has actual Star Trek knowledge.
All right. Thanks all for joining us. Have a good one.
Thank you guys.
Thanks, Al.